Today's questioner asks, I need solid reasons why it's important to do self-care and what the top 3 strategies are for getting self-care into my life. This is a great question. I could talk all about the energetics of self-care, and I often do, but I know those examples can feel less urgent. And often when we talk about self-care, it can be a lot of soft feeling words and not a lot of concrete scientific-based information on the actual function of self-care. So let's change that. Let's start with a few facts. First, your nervous system has 2 different states it can be in. The sympathetic nervous system state, also referred to as fight, flight, or freeze. This state is triggered by fear, and it's how your body helps to keep you safe. The second nervous system state is the parasympathetic nervous system, or rest and digest. This is the state you need to be in to refill your mental, emotional, and/or physical energy reserves. Second, self-care is a mental and emotional hygiene tool. It's just as important as brushing your teeth or taking a shower. Third, just because something is supposed to be relaxing doesn't make it self-care. Have you ever sat down to try and meditate and found yourself more worried and wound up than when you started? You asked for solid reasons, so I want to dive into your nervous system a little more. Let's start with the sympathetic nervous system. It's your body's natural response to fear. It helps keep you safe when out on the savannah you see a lion and want to avoid becoming its dinner. Unfortunately, your body can't tell the difference between the fear of being eaten by a lion and the fear of doing poorly on a work project or the fear of being late for an important meeting because you're stuck in traffic. Many of us are in a state of chronic stress. From worrying about work and bills to family matters and friendships, to what to make for dinner and how to find time to get those birthday cards in the mail. Do you ever notice that your jaw aches from being clenched all day? Or you have a headache and your neck and shoulders are sore because you've had them hunched up and the muscles tightened for hours? These are physical manifestations of that chronic stress. Here are several effects the American Psychological Association cites chronic stress has on our bodies. 1. Tension and migraine headaches. 2. Acute breathing problems for people with asthma, COPD, and other respiratory issues. 3. Increased risk of hypertension, heart attack, and stroke due to increased levels of stress hormones and elevated blood pressure, both part of a sympathetic nervous system state. 4. Chronic fatigue, diabetes, obesity, depression, and immune disorders, again due to the way the body produces and responds to stress hormones during the sympathetic nervous system state. 5. Heartburn, acid reflux, nausea, diarrhea, and constipation. Our digestive system is an optional system during life or death situations. If you get eaten by the lion, it doesn't matter if you digested your last meal. If you survive, you can digest once you're safe. So when you're in a sympathetic nervous system state, the body diverts resources away from the digestive system and to your extremities. Your body believes it's much more important you're able to run quickly than to finish digesting your lunch. 6. Issues with the reproductive system, including irregular menstrual cycles, issues with conception and pregnancy, difficult premenstrual symptoms, and more. Again, like the digestive system, your reproductive system is viewed as optional during times of stress. As a side note, I primarily talk to and work with women, but chronic stress can also wreak havoc on the male reproductive system as well. I'll add a link in the show notes to an article where you can read more about each of these. In addition to the physical issues, there are a host of mental and emotional ones as well. Chronic stress can disturb our peace of mind by causing us to loop through anxiety, fear, regret, and worry over and over and over again. It reduces our efficiency and productivity because we're focused on surviving, which often results in our doing things inefficiently. Have you ever been juggling 5 things, stressed and overwhelmed, and realized you need to find information from an email you know someone sent you a week ago? You scroll, you scan, you search, and finally find the email. Grab the information you need and promptly close everything up, only to go through the same exact process tomorrow because you didn't finish reading down in the message to get the additional details you needed for step 2 of the project. That's survival mode. And chronic stress can lead us to feel everything or nothing, mood swings, crying for unexplained reasons, feeling numb inside. These are all symptoms of burnout, which is a result of chronic stress. If you only have 5 gallons of gas in the car, it doesn't matter how much you want to keep going. The car stops once you run out. I'll link to an episode up here and in the show notes below on burnout. This is another big topic. So now you're probably thinking, okay, so chronic stress is bad, but where does self-care come in here? If you don't want to have to deal with all the physical, mental, and emotional issues I noted above, you have 2 options. You can either remove all the stress in your life, which practically speaking means bailing on anything in your life that causes you stress and which isn't realistic or honestly even desirable to most of us. Or you can learn how to shift your body out of the sympathetic nervous system state and into the parasympathetic nervous system state. Remember I mentioned that self-care is a part of a healthy mental and emotional hygiene routine? True self-care, and there's a lot of confusion out there about what self-care actually is, triggers you to shift from the sympathetic nervous system state to the parasympathetic nervous system. It's the equivalent of turning off your car and refilling the fuel, and it really is just as important as brushing your teeth and washing your hands. The more frequently you incorporate self-care into your day, the more frequently you remind your body that it doesn't need to be residing in fight, flight, or freeze, which means you'll feel better. You'll be more resilient and be better able to tackle the speed bumps in life as they come up. And you'll be less likely to have to deal with the host of physical, mental, and emotional issues I noted above. Okay, hopefully by now I've convinced you why you need to incorporate self-care into your daily life. Let's talk about those 3 strategies to get self-care into your everyday. First is the audible exhale. If you're a regular listener to Solicited Advice, you've heard me talk about this before, over and over and over again. Because the audible exhale is a trigger that tells your body it's safe to shift from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system. I'll link to a blog post in the show notes below with more information on how this works. I talk about this technique a lot because it's not only powerful, it takes just a minute or 2. Let's take 3 audible exhales together right now. Take a full inhale, feeling the breath tunnel down into your belly. Feel your rib cage expand and perhaps even your collarbones lift. And then open your mouth and let it out with a Let's do that twice more. Inhaling. How do you feel now? Did those 3 breaths change the way you feel? Set an alarm on your phone for every hour and take these 3 audible exhales. You can use them anytime you're feeling stressed, anxious, worried, frustrated, overwhelmed, or angry as well. The next self-care technique is the mindful moment. When we're anxious, worried, and stressed, we're usually thinking about things that have already happened or have not yet happened. Take a moment, really look around. Is there anything in this exact moment for you to be afraid of? I'm guessing the answer is probably no, because the answer is almost always no. When we can bring our focus and attention to the present moment, we move out of fear, out of the sympathetic nervous system, and into the parasympathetic nervous system. We remind the body that there isn't any immediate threat to our life and that we can relax. So that's why the mindful moment works. Here's how to take one. Pause what you're doing. Look around you and notice, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you taste? And what do you feel? Not only with your hands, but also on your skin and inside your body. Try to be as detailed as possible when going through each of your 5 senses. By observing the world around us with each of our senses, we pull our attention back to the present moment. Try using this technique every time you take the first sip of a beverage or the first bite of a meal, or use it every time you cross a threshold from one room to another or from indoors to outdoors and vice versa. The third technique is to just move your body. We can get so wrapped up in our mental loops that simply moving our bodies can help break that cycle. Again, just like with the other 2 techniques, this doesn't need to be anything long or complicated. It's simply bringing your awareness back to your body and the present moment in another way. Stand up, stretch your arms up overhead, engage your core to support your lower back. Take a full inhale and reach your fingertips even higher. Exhale and fold over, hinging at the hips. Allow your head and hands to hang heavy. Maybe your hands touch the floor. Maybe they don't. It isn't important. Keep a soft bend in your knees. Reach your tailbone up to the sky and feel your spine stretching and elongating your head down toward the floor. Take a full, deep inhale, feeling the breath tunnel down into your belly. And then sneak in an audible exhale for bonus points. Inhale and come back up to standing. Stretch your arms out, engage your core, and twist over to the left. Take a full inhale, and on the exhale, come back to the center. Twist over to the right. Take a full inhale, and on the exhale, come back to center again. Now lower your arms and shake it out. Just like the hokey pokey, shake loose anything that's clenching or gripping. Allow your arms and legs to feel like jelly as you wiggle and shake them out. Then go ahead and sit back down. Again, this takes just a few minutes. Just like with the audible exhale, use this either as a triage tool or even better, incorporate it into your everyday by setting a reminder to stretch every hour. You can use one or all 3 of these techniques. They all help you to shift from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic nervous system, and they are all great self-care tools. I'm sending you a great big hug. You've got this. I hope you enjoyed this bit of solicited advice. Make sure you subscribe to my channel to be notified whenever I post new content.